I'm co-founder and CEO of a cyber risk management startup called Cynch. So we're all about cyber risk management. We have 2 SaaS products out there in the market. The first is designed to help micro and small businesses to actively manage their cybersecurity, improve the security and avoid basically a cyber attack becoming the worst day of their working lives. And a second product that's around supply chain risk management. I mean, for many, many years up until recently, we just had the self-service subscription. So what I really like about the document library that Lawpath has is the fact that it's written for Australian businesses under Australian law. Really the last 4 or 5 years we've been using Lawpath. Whenever there's anything vaguely legal that we need to document, we go there first, start with their template and then build it out from there. And then more recently, we've upgraded our subscription so that I can have unlimited half an hour calls with lawyers, which has been great because we're going through a new phase. There's a whole bunch of very different and very sort of niche legal questions that I need answered at the moment. And it's been great to be able to book in calls within sort of 24 hours and get the advice I need and move on. From a personal perspective, I've only ever really had one interaction, and let's just say it wasn't positive, so it kind of put me off legal advice for my personal matters. But in the past, we have engaged 2 different law firms as Cynch when we were doing investment rounds back in 2019 and 2020. The first one let us down pretty terribly. The second one was fantastic, but rather expensive. And so far, Lawpath is turning out to be a much more economic way of getting the answers we need when we need it. When we next come to our big next transaction or whatever that might be, we'll certainly be considering Lawpath legal advice then. So I think so far I've only had 2 legal consultations with lawyers through Lawpath. But what I've loved is the fact that when you go in and book a consultation, you say what is the kind of advice that you need. So the first one was around safe notes and investment. And the lawyer that I was put on to, Molly, was absolutely fantastic. She knew everything about it. She was able to answer my questions, explain things to me that I'd never understood before around safe notes. And it's quite a specialist type area of law that she knew. And the second one was around contract law. Again, somebody completely different who was able to just jump in, make some suggestions to what I'd already drafted, give me the answers that I needed. Both calls lasted far less than the half an hour, which for me is a great thing because the shorter the better. But just being able to get a variety of different lawyers who are ready to jump in, take the call, give advice on the spot. There's none of that sort of BS of, I'll need to come back to you and all of a sudden you're getting charged in 6-minute increments or any of that sort of rubbish. It was just, we're on the call, gave me the advice and it was great. Yeah, I mean, look, it was really simple. I logged in once I'd upgraded my plan. It was, there was a big button somewhere that said, book a consultation. I chose that sort of what sort of a legal advice I was after, and it was, startup advice. So chose that, given it was around safe notes. Maybe it was investment advice. Whichever one was the bucket that made sense at the time. It came up with a bunch of times the next day. I booked in that time. So we're currently doing a very small investment round as a bridging round to fund a gap that we have. So we're looking to close that out in the next month. And then I've got a whole bunch of things in the pipeline that I can't talk about right now, but it's going to be a big year. I think if you're somebody that is familiar with using legal services, legal advice, knows their way around a contract, then Lawpath is easily the best way to go. It's the most cost efficient. It's the best way to get advice at the time that you need it. Certainly in those early years of Cynch, I was working all sorts of silly times of day, night and weekends. And law firms typically are only open and available 9 till 5. Lawpath is always there. So I wouldn't hesitate if you're an Australian startup or early business owner to use this, certainly in the first instance, but then let it expand with your business.